That is Trumpis, new Trumpis coming out sooner than you know. You will be hearing this on radios and everywhere, as you know that Amapansula Buyile. We are releasing another single from the album, and we will be dropping the album as soon as we are done with this lockdown issue. But you will be getting more of the songs that we have done on the album, the new album, and this track is called Koloko. Hilo Koloko asupuzile kishini akusbona se fresh kanje batabanya skuke. Hey, I don't know that, but be that as it may, this is Eugene Mtetwa, and as I had promised that I will do this broadcast at 3 p.m. to answer to the questions that were not answered by the general manager of licensing at SAMRO when he attempted to nullify some of the things that I had said in the same interview by C Major. There's a podcast called C Major that he was telling people things that are not complete, incomplete statements, and making allegations of a certain thing that he cannot disclose that prevents me from getting my royalties. I want to say that was unfortunate, and it continues to remain unfortunate situation that they cannot tell the truth. I am one person who believes in Amical Cabral, who says, hide nothing to the masses, tell no lies, and claim no easy victories. It cannot be victory when you are not telling the truth or half-baked truth about the situation. And it should be worrying for most of us when a general manager says, I don't know what Eugene is talking about. When I talked about non-royalty distribution, it is called NRD. And I will explain what he did not explain in the process of how those royalties that he claims that it is money made out of investments or whatever, or the interest of the money that would have been collected, and therefore because it is in the bank account, then it accrues interest, which is the half-baked truth. But be that as it may, I want to say to those that are in the spirit of grace and mercy today, grace and peace to everyone. I hope you were in church and you gained momentum, you gained moral boost today when you went to church. those that go to church on Sunday. We go to church on Saturday because for us, we still want to, in fact, we want to go back to the basics. The Bible says that on the seventh day, and to us in South Africa, the seventh day happens to be on Saturday. And that is what we are trying to do, to retain what was lost when the church was infiltrated during the time of Constantine. You see, this is what is good about getting more broad and versatile about issues and getting knowledge, because then you become more versatile. When people talk religion, I'm there. You can't count me out of that space. When we talk politics, I'm there. You can't count me out of that space. When we talk social issues, I'm there. When you talk music industry issues, I'm there. When you talk arts and culture issues, I'm there, because also I come from a school of thought. No better school that one could have been to if it is not, the street life. It has taught us a lot. I taught the world with Lucky Dube. It has taught me another thing, another education that you will not get from school. When you tour a lot around around the world, you get this education that is not provided at school. You get the experience, what I call the apparent experience, not reading from the books or hearing people saying this is what happens. I know the squatter camps in the United States. I've been to that place. I know where people are struggling, even though the media in the United States, which is what is different about our country, their patriotism hides what is not good to be known by other people outside their country. And that's what they've been taught. Americans, they've been taught very well when it comes to patriotism. We lack patriotism. We think that we have scooped when we write things that are bad about our country, yet we're looking forward to the investments that people should put. How, if we don't believe in our own country, if we say our country is bad, how do we expect those that are outside our country to come and invest? Because when things are not good and bad in our country, it says it is a risk to invest in that country, because what draws investment, it is the political stability. And currently we can't claim that we have political stability. There's a lot that is happening that puts our country in a very bad picture in terms of attracting foreign investment. But be that it is may, we need to sort out our own issues, and that is why I still subscribe to the very statements made by Amilcar Cabral when he says, hide nothing to the masses, tell no lies, claim no easy victories. Don't hide your weaknesses, don't hide your challenges, tell the truth. And that is why I call my broadcast and my channel, in fact my YouTube channel, which is called Tell It Like It Is, because I tell it like it is. Therefore, I've done much of the introduction, and this is not a formal discussion. It is just a casual discussion with you guys, but I want to put things into perspective. If you have any question, you can post it as I broadcast. I will try and respond to those questions that you might want to pinpoint in what you heard. If you listen to that broadcast, because I posted, I don't hide anything. Even if you are talking something about me, you may be talking in the corridors, like I did with the other post, the other voice message, which was posted on a WhatsApp group of men who gossip. Instead of confronting issues, they gossip. So I took the gossip and I made it very public. And this person was talking bad about me, but I posted it openly so that you know, and when I come up to respond, you know what I'm responding to. So yeah, let's go into the gist of the story. Now, the general manager at SAMRO, general manager of licensing at SAMRO, says that SAMRO has reciprocal agreements with countries, other countries, and mainly he mentioned countries in Africa. So meaning that in the continent, SAMRO collects on behalf of their artists in different, composers from different countries in Africa, whilst they collect on our behalf in their countries. What is not correct about that, it is that reciprocity when it comes to rights management, it is not dependent on collecting society, the agreement between one collecting society, or a reciprocity between a collecting society and another collecting society. It is dependent on territorial agreements, meaning country to country. If the country says we are collecting on behalf, we are allowing you to collect on behalf of our composers or artists, and we can also collect. It is a country, not a collecting society. Because when it comes to collecting society, there's no collecting society in the world that could claim that it represents 100% of the members in the sector. You would note that even SAMRO cannot claim that it represents 100% of all the composers in the country. So that becomes a challenge when you then depend on a collecting society or collecting society's agreement. That is not reciprocity. It is just business arrangement, not reciprocity. And again, what lacks facts in what he was talking about. You may have noticed, for instance, that SAMRO has just entered into an agreement with TikTok. Capasso, SAMRO, and TikTok have entered into an agreement. Now, maybe let me clarify firstly what the impracticability, or what is not practical about the reciprocity that are based on collecting societies. You would agree that the copyright or intellectual property rights or copyright laws cannot be the same in all countries. In Zimbabwe, they might treat it differently. In Ghana, they might treat it differently. So you cannot say you are therefore entering into an agreement that is a blanket license across the continent. That is not practical. It is not practical. That's why it ends up being arrangement. Now, here's an agreement between TikTok and Capasso and SAMRO. How do you expect to collect on behalf of artists, composers, performers who are from USA, when in USA they don't play your music? How do you enter into a reciprocity where you won't get a cent from that country, but you're spending money to set up the systems to collect on behalf of their artists? It is not reciprocity. That's not reciprocity. We know that in the United States they don't play our music. And TikTok is also available in the United States. And in that agreement, you then say, yes, we are entering into an agreement to collect on behalf on what the rights, even the rights that they are talking about, are rights that don't exist. Rights to on communicating, on composition, it is not a right that exists. It is in anticipation of the current amendment bill that is sitting in Parliament at the moment. So you can't enter into an agreement in anticipation of the rights that might arise in the future. And that's what the TikTok deal is about. It is saying we might have these rights, so let us enter into what is the substance of that agreement. That is the challenge. That is what they must explain to us, that what is this agreement that says we are now entering into this agreement, this is how we're going to do things, but these rights that we are putting our agreement on don't exist. It's like saying, okay, I'm gonna be making bread and you guys will be distributing bread for me. I don't have bread at the moment, I don't have the factory that will make, but in case I do get money to establish this, let us have this agreement awaiting that particular situation to happen. And people can't celebrate on such. You are making people, you are raising people's expectation on something that doesn't exist. You enter into an agreement because there is a tangible, there is a commodity, there is a product, there are services that you are going to render. Over and above, when you look at that agreement, it then talks about no Capaso will do. Now, SAMRO adjudicates, it relinquishes its responsibility to Capaso. Yeah, we are entering, we are going to be collecting, but Capaso will be collecting on our behalf. Capaso will be the one that will be dealing with this. So we are not going to be incurring costs, but we will be distributing to our members. It's just doesn't make sense. It's people acting with little knowledge and wanting to become the Matthias, the Good Samaritans. And I shudder what will happen one day when these collecting societies will be faced with a litigation by artists and performers, composers from USA who are dominating our airwaves, by the way, who have the majority share. As he spoke yesterday, he spoke about the shareholders at SAMRO, people who have majority share. You can imagine people, if we are talking about the black coffees in this country, imagine the collecting societies that collect on behalf of the Jay-Z's, the Beyoncés and what, if they would stand up and say we are going to litigate against South Africa, I shudder what would happen. We would lose all this money that we think it is there for our children. Now, away from that, because that it was just in passing, just to show you the fact that people speak out of no knowledge, less knowledge, little knowledge, and yet they call themselves general managers. They are managing people's monies, people's rights, when they have little knowledge or understanding of such. Here are the facts, therefore. One, indeed, SAMRO collects on behalf of composers, meaning the performances of the songs, of what they would call the works, either on radio, TV, any platform that plays the music to the public. They give license for those to utilize the music, and then they will then collect based on the agreement that have entered with that person or that institution or whatever platform is out there. Now, what lacks the truth in that is that they are collecting on a blanket license, because only SAMRO exists in that space. So they have monopoly over this particular right, which is the performance right. When they collect on behalf of the members, they don't only collect on behalf of the members only, but they collect on behalf of the industry on a percentage-based collection in view of the revenue that the broadcaster, whichever broadcaster, would have amassed in that particular period or particular year. As we speak, SAMRO is still collecting on a contract that was drafted in 1967, when they were still using the typewriters, not even the computers. Now that is based on, if we make 10 rands from the advertisers, we will give you 2%, or we'll give you 3%, 5% of what we've made, or 10%, it depends, whatever agreement. The law, the general or the common practice is that you only take 20% for administration cost. And you heard the manager talking about 28%. It is in black and white on copyright review report that was adopted even by the parliament, that SAMRO is taking over 30% in terms of administration costs. Now, in that situation, what then becomes also lies in what he has told, or rather the untruth, the incomplete picture, is that when they collect as if they collect on behalf of Mahasmane having been played 50 times, Mahasmane having played 20 times in another radio station. Therefore, all put together, Mahasmane was played 1,600 times. We know the truth, the fact that those are not the records of such airplay, are not proper. As you heard, sometimes the radio station would then report that we played Trompi's song and not state which song. Okay, that has been a challenge that broadcasters are not reporting correctly, because some other radio stations, they still use the manual submission of the cue sheet. And SABC, as we speak, has a system that could monitor everything that is playing on any of its radio station without the presenters themselves listing, or the what would this be called, the compiler compiling a list of the songs that are scheduled to play on that particular program. SAMRO, as such a big supposedly multi-continental or multinational institution, how come that it doesn't even have its own monitoring system? It still outsources the monitoring to somebody else, instead of it having a system that is digitally plugged into every radio station that is here to say this is what is playing in this particular, even if it is not a radio station of its a radio station at SABC outside radio, they should be able to monitor. They have taken 48 million rands to Dubai instead of improving the systems in their own institution. The maladministration that I challenge them on, it is based on the fact that so I had him trying to explain also this situation, that you see sometimes when these radio stations or whoever the users report back on Mahasmane, sometimes they would report as Mahasmane with an I, and therefore it is justifiable to have more listings of Mahasmane on the system, yet the royalties, and he said that, but the royalties will accrue to the same composers, regardless of the fact that it is Mahasmane Thabo, Mahasmane 2020, Mahasmane. That is nonsensical. I can tell you that that is nonsensical. I can get into the system now and show you. In fact, that's what I should do. I'm going to go into the system and go into the portal and show you how some songs appear on the system. You can't have Eugene Mthethwa with ID number so-and-so, and when he goes, because he went out of the country, when he came back, somebody decided to put a wrong ID number on. Then when it reports in the system that Eugene went out and another Eugene came back, or the same Eugene came back with a surname that is misspelled, and therefore we are giving him a different ID number. It doesn't happen. The ID number must remain the same. Whether it is reported, whether they misspelled my name as Eugene with an I at the end, or Eugene with an I in the middle, but the ID number should remain the same, so that everyone who misspells, who does whatever, it reports back to the same portfolio or profile, to the same profile of that particular song. You can't profile the song in different names and different work numbers. If you give it a different work number, it is no longer that song. And the untruth about also that, he says that, this could be Mahasmane 2020. Why should there be Mahasmane 2020 when the original owner of the song doesn't know about Mahasmane 2020 or has not consented into that? If you do a remix, you need to seek the right, or you need to seek the right to use that music or make a different interpretation, unless the song, it is 50 years after the person has died, it has become part of what we call the public domain. It is in the public domain. But whilst the right owner exists, you communicate with that. That is the responsibility of publishers to clear your license. Either you license, if you want to use the song in a movie, you license. You don't just take the song and use it and then you come back and report and say, what did he call it? I remember he was talking about, I forgot the word that they use when they introduce, when it is on, probably Umbango is playing Mahasmane or Trumpy song underneath, whilst the actors are talking, are in a dialogue, and there's that music that is playing underneath, or they play the music on their system because they have a party in that particular scene. They have a party and therefore they're dancing to Mahasmane. No, the sequence, the issue of the sequence. Oh, this is the opening sequence. No, the opening sequence must talk to the fact that you have requested the rights to use that song in that opening sequence, and you even state for how long. I am currently, just recently, I was dealing with the issue of licensing Mahasmane for Mnet. So what type of administrator is it that allows things to be like that, to be done so shabbily? Then who even endorses the fact that, no, it does happen? And I can call Ringo Madlingos to attest to this, that Karabo Sina, I don't know what's the difference between the positions held by Karabo Sina and Gubeka, Mr. Gubeka, the General Manager of Licensing. When we ask Karabo Sina that what causes one song to have different work numbers, in fact not work numbers, what causes one music or work that has been documented initially, because Trumpis came when they were releasing this album, they came to notify, okay, what causes it to then end up in the undocumented works later on. And he said something like, oh, it happens, with no explanation. Meaning something like, excuse my French, shit happens. And we laughed. We laughed about it. We said, wow, that doesn't sound right, because you can't just say that it happens. And contrary to that, when the general manager of licensing, Mr. Kubeka, said yesterday, what causes that is that somebody would come and claim later on that, oh, I have not been receiving my royalties, and when I went into the portal, or when I checked the status of my music, I found that I was omitted in the notification. I am not part of the notification. Now, in an ideal, or in SAMRO's world of doing things, they then just insert the name of the person who is claiming. And that is why the music then becomes a matter that remains on undoc. What he did not explain is that he lied about that they would then consult the original composer to say now there is somebody else who claims. And these are my arguments. My fights with them is that they don't have the facilities to trace people, first and foremost. Even when they know you, that you are a member, they have your details. They don't contact you. They just put the name of the new claimant. As we speak, we have Mahasman. And we have Mahasman Trumpis. Why would you have Mahasman that was notified as Mahasman and the performers are Trumpis? Then you have Mahasman Trumpis as a title. Then you have Mahasman Lebu Matosa as a title. Why would you have a situation like that? Why not say, oh, Mahasman was the original notification. The title was Mahasman. Now there's Mahasman Lebu. The reason why that radio station probably reported Mahasman as Mahasman Lebu, maybe it was for their own reason, whatever reason that they have. But their own reason should not change the original notification. When somebody receives that, it should be able to say, oh, Mahasman Lebu, by the way, Lebu Matosa is featured on Mahasman. So the probability should be, this is the same as this song. And over years, why is not SAMRO not improving its system to say, okay, one of the challenges that we've always had is that songs end up in undocumented works, because we're getting different notifications from, we get different reports from different users who would then name songs differently or misspell the songs. Why don't we have a submission? When we do the submission, we then attach 8 bars of that particular song. As it used to do, it used to be when we did the paper notification. I remember Big Jack Voice used to do a staff notation that is about 8 bars. You were required to do that, so that they can even identify the song through the staff notation, the melody of the song. Now we are in the digital era, where you have such a huge institution like SAMRO. Its CEO earns far more higher salary than other CEOs in the corporate world, by the way. The institution that can take 48 million to go and do a test in Dubai, create jobs in Dubai for people who are for the people who are living in Dubai. whilst it fails to create jobs for its own composers, create wealth for its own composers, but it cannot improve its own system, which is its core business, where they should be taking so much interest to say, we've had this situation of undocumented works because people come and notify, and I can tell you the honest truth, the honest truth, that it can be proven beyond any reasonable doubt. They do not go and check with the original. The logic we should apply is that when somebody comes and says, oh, by the way, I think I was left out in this particular composition. Logic should apply that you need to therefore say, okay, write an affidavit to say that this song you participated and you therefore believe that you should be getting 5 or 10% of this, you did 15% of the work. It immediately when there's somebody who claims that the original notification did not include him, immediately that song becomes a matter of dispute. If it is a matter of dispute, then what must then kick in is the verification. SAMRO doesn't verify. It just insert the name. That is why we have found that there has been fraudulent movement of songs from documented to undocumented works by staff members, and that was confirmed. And that was confirmed by the telephonic conversation I had with the chairperson, who admitted that yes, because of the board's cracks. Now you have 3-4 conflicting statements from the same organization. Karabo says, no, it happens, like shit happens. Gobeka says, no, we go and verify and call and find out. I have never been called. I wouldn't be fighting like I am fighting now, because I have never received any communication from SAMRO saying, is this true? Here's a person who comes to claim one of your children, says that he owns part of that. Is it true? I've never. It was only 2 years when I started engaging about this seriously now, getting agitated and being aggressive. It was only 3 years back when I received an email from a young man who just wrote, and I must retrieve that email, asking if Mahasmane is my song. Only 3 years ago. A song that was released in 1998. Only 3 years ago, I get to be asked if. When I went into the system, Sony ATV has notified the song in 2020. 4 times. Not once in a year. Or not in 1998. Sony was part of us in 1998 when we notified this. Why is Sony notifying in 2024 times the same song? And that's what I meant when I say the publishers, they benefit from this confusion, that they are part of the problem, the challenge. And that is why they take keen interest in seeing the governance of SAMRO being the dominating factors of the management of SAMRO. It is publishers who are dictating what should happen, because they are securing their interest, and their interests are outside the royalty distribution. But the non-royalty distribution, it is not the interest. You can imagine if one says non-royalty distribution is from the interest. Let's look at that situation just alone. It means that this is money that one cannot attribute to a particular song or particular group of works. It is just generally the money that is made, the interest that is made from the overall amount that was received by SAMRO and deposited into a bank account, and based on the interest, then it accumulated. When publishers get this money, as shareholders who have more say, and therefore we have a bigger cake, a bigger piece of the cake in the whole cake. I wonder if they are paying their members that they represent from this particular distribution, because it is not based on royalties. How do they share the money amongst their own members? If I have 500 members and I get 10 million because the interest that has accrued from the money that SAMRO made from its deposits. If I get 10 million, how do I say this is how much this particular person must get? This is out of 500 members. And who would challenge me if I say, no, this is, you deserve 2 rands. Out of 10 million, you deserve 2 rands. Who would challenge me? Because there is nothing that relates to the song, your song being played 10 times, and therefore the interest at the bank considered your song having been played 10 times, therefore that's why we made so much. There's no such. That is why it is much of their own interest to see to it that the shareholding situation, which is based on a quota, that gives right to those who have more members to claim even a bigger share. There's no scientific way of explaining it, that why they are getting 10 million instead of 1 million or instead of 200 rands. Whilst all these members, individual members who are composers, who are majority of SAMRO, get 300 and something rands, the publishers rake in millions of rands. And I doubt if they do pay their members. We still have to see that happening. I want to see the audit of those publishers who've been receiving money from the UNDOC, because I know that that money, what he did not explain as the truth, it is not the interest only that forms part of the non-royalty distribution. It is what they call unclaimed royalties. When your songs sit in the undocumented works, it means that there is a dispute. But what becomes less of their interest, it is to go and verify with the composers. So the composers sit thinking that their songs are safe and they would earn royalties. They are not notified that their songs have been moved into the UNDOC because there's a dispute. And then after 3 years, because as he said, that they can't pay when there's a dispute, when there's confusion, when they don't know who the owner is. So the money is kept into the bank account, and the owners are not notified that this is the situation. After 3 years, that money is forfeited by the actual owners. It is not in their best interest to go and find out or tell you that, you know, your song, there's somebody else who's claimed. They wait for 3 years. Once 3 years is over, then they apply the prescription policy, which is arbitrarily, again, applied arbitrarily, where they apply it in order to then redistribute. They say they redistribute the money to the members. What they don't tell us is that those who have earned 0.0000001% of the entire money that is remaining in those coffers of the interest, the unclaimed royalty, what they call the non-royalty distribution, is that those that have earned less in their royalty distribution, if you earned 300 rands, you are going to get proportional to 300 rands of the amount that is in the non-royalty distribution coffers or bank account for that particular run. You are going to get proportional to the 300 rands that you got in the royalty. And those that rigged 10 million, 20 million, 5 million rands, they are going to get proportional to the 5 million. So the richer gets richer, the poor gets poorer. And who are the poorer at SAMRO? It is the majority, it is the black composers who are uneducated, taken advantage of, that they will not question. And a person like Eugene must therefore be subjected to this situation that they are going to use in order to prevent him from talking, in order to silence him. We are going to put this thing that hangs over his head, this shadow that hangs over his head. If they are saying, if they are honest about issues, if I owe SAMRO 80,000 rands, please give me the logic. Here's the board that created a scenario that would enrich them by creating many meetings when they were not even doing the job. And they owe over 1 million rands. But you then go and say, let bygones be bygones. 1 million is fine. But you're sitting on Eugene who owes you 80,000 rands. But those that owe over 1 million, because they were the board that sat on the issue, Yaga Eugene, and decided, no, he must pay back. These are the very same board members who have now used, unfortunately, or rather in a fraudulent way, used SAMRO's members' money, to pay to enrich themselves by creating many meetings when the MOI of SAMRO says that it should only be 4 meetings. Board meetings, there are 4 in a year, but people end up creating 12 meetings when they are saying now they are dealing with the issue of Dubai, and the issue of Dubai doesn't come to fruition, and then 48 million is gone, plus this over 1-point-something million for the meetings. And then there is also 20 million into POSA. The very same board that sees Eugene having done something wrong and therefore he must pay back, they can't pay back. The board, the current board that says Eugene has a situation, they have allowed this particular board that wasted over 70 million rands of composers' money fruitlessly, wasteful expenditure. They've allowed them to go, and they're saying we cannot find industry people. That's the current chairperson's word. We cannot fight industry people, let bygones be bygones. But when it comes to Eugene, no, Eugene must suffer. The reason why they ended up with that decision, it was to suppress Eugene. They even suspended Eugene when the MOI doesn't state anything about the reduction, or rather the change of membership status. It only talks about when you come in as a new entrant into SAMRO membership, you acquire this particular status as a member. After you've earned this much, you then graduate into a full member. But it doesn't talk about when does one loses the status of being a full member into now a different membership. And this is what was arbitrarily about that meeting that could not even allow me to be in that meeting. These decisions were taken by people who don't even understand the running of SAMRO, don't understand even the MOI. The MOI took a decision of saying, no, we are suspending Eugene, we are even demoting him from being a full member into. Where is the policy? Where is the regulation? Or where is the policy that says if you've done ABC, you then there's a possibility of you being demoted from being a full member into the reason why they did that was to create a long period of me paying back this money that they say I owe, and so that I do not attend the board meetings because I was giving them problems by asking right questions. And this is the modus operandi even with the current chairperson and the board. They want to create this situation that prolongs the payment. I mean, how do I earn 30,000 rands as the publisher when the publisher shares 50% of the song, of the work? This is how it is divided. 50% is for the composers. Where there is no publisher, 100% goes to the composer. Or where the composer has got his own publisher, his own publishing company, 100% goes to the 100% goes to the composer and his publishing. So he doesn't even need 2 bank accounts. He can use 1 bank account because the whole amount is paid into this person who's a composer and a publisher by himself. But where there is a publisher that's supposed to be looking after your works, doing the administration, doing the notifications on behalf of you to SAMRO and other institutions, then after they've deducted, in an ideal situation, after they've deducted not more than 20% of the administration cost, if it is SAMRO, then they must pay what? The remaining 80% as 100% to the publisher and the composers. And that is divided into 2, that the composer will get the 50% of the 80, and the publisher will get the 50% of the 80, and the publisher will then take its commission out of the 50, pay it back again to the same composer, whatever that is remaining from the 50. So it is just the creation of jobs for themselves. And the milking of this money that goes around being milked in every particular stop, so that by the time it gets to the actual composer, it is imanqebaqeba. It has holes. This money has holes all over it. And the composer gets the remnants that is left out of what was supposed to be paid as 100% of his works. So it is, you know what I expected from anyone that I'm dealing with. I don't just go I don't just go aggressively against somebody without having engaged them. The reason why I ended up at SAMRO with chains, as the CEO says, that he was surprised, lying about the situation. But that will come out soon, because if I go to court, as I intend to do so, as we have agreed we are going to do so, they know, I told them that I'm going to go to court. These lies are going to be shown. They will come out because I have all the evidence, and I will shock them with the evidence that I have. They think that I am one of those that they can keep with less information. I know my story. I do not make allegations that don't exist. I do not make allegations without evidence. I was taught very well that what makes my case a winning case, it is the evidence. I cannot say I heard them saying or talk about somebody said. I don't talk about that. I'm saying, I, as Eugene, I am saying that SAMRO has got a problem when it comes to administration. SAMRO has experienced fraudulent ways by whoever, and SAMRO has been manipulated by publishers to do the wrong things, because publishers, they have more power to say and dictate things. SAMRO is scared of those, and it has to act in the best interest of those who have power. And in this instance, it cannot be politically correct that black people will suffer because certain individuals who sit in the boards, because they have more power based on the financial, based on the resources that they have at their disposal, then they can therefore trample over other people's rights. It cannot happen. I'm not fighting my battle alone, but when I go to court and I come back from court victorious, having won the case, the unfortunate situation is that it would be for everybody. I would be setting a precedent for I'm saying the unfortunate situation, the unfortunate situation will be that because people are scared to stand up and fight and talk and explain. I have graduated from that slave or I've graduated from that black person when he is made poor, he's subjected to hunger, then he becomes the master's puppet. I've graduated from that. No hunger will make me bow before the master. There's no master for me. There's only one master that I have, and that master, it is God who says, I am that I am. There's no other master that can sit on top. No one that I can fear who is subject to death himself, who has his own mortality weakness. Every man who's going to go 6 feet below the ground cannot be more powerful than my God, who is indispensable, who cannot be defeated by any circumstance. The one who has given me the mind and the understanding, the revelations of certain things, he is going to see to it that this is resolved. And I'm going to pursue this fight until I am 6 feet below the ground. I will not stop whilst I'm still alive. And I'm happy that I have now transferred this knowledge and this information to others who will pursue it. In my name should I die. So there's no stopping of this, and victory is certain. I can tell you that victory is certain. So people must stop lying. These youngsters who are academically qualified to hold positions when they don't know, they must just stop talking. SAMRO must stop talking to media. They must stop trying to put one of the things that they spend so much money in, it is trying to clean the image. They must stop cleaning the image. They must clean the system. They must improve the system and provide the services that, to the best of their ability, to provide the services that will protect everyone's right according to their interest and the rights that they have, the works that they've been given, the children that we have given them to be guardians over. They should do exactly that and stop talking and wanting to be famous and relevant. They're not relevant. They're not famous. They're not. They can't take away what we have. What we have achieved. It is not by might or our own doing. We were meant to be what we are, and no one can take it away from us. So they must just stop from talking to the media. Their job is not to talk to the media, is to sort out the mess that they have created in their system. And if they can't sort it out, there must be another collective society that is established. There's nothing that stops people from, and that is one thing that they think they are indispensable because they have monopoly over this. We will create another collective society to compete with them so that they can pick up their socks and try and improve their services. That's all that they have to do, and stop talking. They have to improve the services. They have to improve the system. I mean, when you go, let me go into the portal quickly and show you that this is how, it doesn't even show. They've put certain things there that should be showing us how many times you've received royalties on a particular song. But there's no information. Let me show you. Let me take you through that quickly. Show you that people lie through their teeth to safeguard themselves, to secure the salaries. And they are not even respectful for the mere fact that they have those jobs because of the composers. If we're not composing music, they wouldn't be having those jobs. They have medical aids. They have all these benefits because somebody did not sleep creating the music. And the person who creates music that benefits them, that creates jobs for them, has got no job. That person has got nothing. He's not even earning. They are going to be earning a lot of money when they leave the system or leave their work, their jobs. Their retirement, it is 3 times or 4 times what we will get as the composers of the music. So please, Mr. Kubek, I wish you could go back and apologize and withdraw, because you lied. You lied to the people, and that is not right. Lying to the public about things that are not, that you don't even understand yourself. I don't think it is. It is genuine. It is something that can be appreciated. Let me take you through this portal and show you. I'm going to take you through the portal and show you what I mean. It takes long. Let me, whilst also doing that, let me play the song, because we are about music. Let me get this is what I'm going to do. Unfortunately, people who are on Facebook, because I'm using the laptop to broadcast to you guys, you won't get a clear picture of what is happening there. I'll try and project it, but if you can't see clearly, what I'll do is that I will post this broadcast on Facebook from Instagram. But people on Instagram can see, because I can take the phone and turn the camera towards what I'm gonna show them. So please bear with me. I will be talking in the process. You can listen to that when I try to explain. So let's do justice. Sorry about that. Let justice be done. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take you through the portal. Right, let me turn the camera so that you can see. Right, this is the SAMRO portal. Okay, right, let me go into saying, here's the portal. It says home search, and I'm gonna go to my music, right? And then own registrations. Okay, right, registration number, registration form. No, let me search. I want to search. Let me go back again, go to my music. Okay, and I want to search. And search. Now it allows me to search. There's Sweetie Level. Okay, right, I'm searching by title, Sweetie Level. Search Sweetie Level. I don't know, maybe they blocked it. Let's see. Another search. Mahasman. Let's say rights owner surname is Mtetwa. My first name is Eugene, so I'm checking Mahasman that has Eugene. There's Mahasman. Look at how many times it appears. Remember that I've searched with Mahasman, the right spelling of Mahasman, and I put the composer Eugene Mtetwa. So it should give me exactly what Eugene Mahasman that has Eugene Mtetwa in it. There's Mahasman 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Showing 10, showing one of the 8. So they are 8. Okay. When you look at the word numbers, all of these Mahasman have got different word numbers. Okay. All right. There's the work numbers, the creation ID, okay? Creation ID, work numbers, different work numbers. Now let's view one title, the information on one title, right? There's the information. It says the right owners. You can see that the right owners as bomb G's, bomb BGs, okay? I've just re-notified this Mahasman. It has bomb BGs instead of bomb DGs. Now meaning that bomb BGs doesn't exist. It's only bomb DGs that has an account. So this is done deliberately. Sony Music will never be incorrectly captured because they are the capturers. Okay? Dark Pound Tunes is my publishing. Okay, and then it mentions Sony ATV Music Publishing. It said Sony Music Entertainment as a publisher, yet it appears again as Sony ATV Music Publishing. Okay, and if you can see, they start with themselves first before they go to the actual composers. There's Mandla Mufokeng, Eugene Mthethwa, David Molosi, Bruce Sibitlo, Jaros Mkwe. Okay? Right. You don't see Zayn. Zayn is not here. You don't see Mjokes here. Right. Okay. Performers. Who's performing the song? It's supposed to be Trompies. Isn't this supposed to be the information that should be put here when it says performers? It should have Trompies, but it says no information, no records. Here's it. It says no records found. Okay. Let's see the music and the shares. This is what it says. 6.25%. This is the share. Who is getting this 6.25%? Why not 100%? And then it shows the different splits in this information. So the information is not even correct. All right. And then when you go into these, let's go into my music. Right? Let me go into my music and say on registration. Right? There's my music. Tabo remix, registration, creation ID, Dololo, view the titles, retrieving the records. The right owners is Eugene. Who is Friends? Which composer has got the name that says Friends with no surname? And the publisher is Task Gallo. Okay? And it's Eugene Mthethwa and then Mthethwa. Why Eugene Mthethwa and Mthethwa? Okay, let's see if there are any. And then look at the shares, the split. 0 Baba, 0. Eugene Mthethwa may appear here, but Eugene Mthethwa gets what? 0%. Okay. Subtitles, no records found, so there's no dispute. Performers, no records found. And this is what we must embrace and say this particular portal is giving us information and exposing. Now, I can go and go. I can look at the songs that I have. This is the first. Here's the Narels. Narels. It says Narels. This song is called Narels Vibe, not Narels. Okay? This is the song that Robert Marawa used for more than a year on Metro FM during his sports program, and he would play this as a signatory tune, play it over the interview whilst he's talking to somebody. He would play this underneath, he would close with it, he would play it not more than 10 times in one program. Okay, this is an instrumental song that I did. Now it's got Friends again. I don't know who's this Friends. Okay, it is Eugene Mtetwa and Imtetwa. And then it's got Task Mike Fuller, not the first one, the other one was Task Gallo. Now you have Task Mike Fuller. Mike Fuller was a company on its own. Task was a company on its own. But here they have been put together to form a publishing that doesn't exist. Task Mike Fuller. And the percentage, the share split is 0. So if I say I have not been paid since from 1902, how does this 0% translate to that if they said they've been paying me royalties? How was I supposed to know that I am listed as a 0% shareholder and I am sharing my music with people that I don't know in publishing companies that don't exist? How was I supposed to know that if it wasn't for this portal? If this information was taken from whatever system correctly as it was and then brought, what has changed? Everything. Because this was notified by me. It says, this is what it says, okay? These are notifications made by me. That's why it says my registrations. My registrations. And I did these notifications through a form. Okay, through a form. It's supposed to say when I go to this particular end, it's supposed to say that these were notified through a paper form. Okay, but it doesn't. Now let's see. My performances. Let's go to my performances. Right? Historic distribution. Look at this one. It says my performances. It says historic distribution. Let us check what were the distribution on songs. Yes, okay. Okay, let me just not put the year. Okay, it doesn't show anything. Let me just go to historic distributions, okay? I'm gonna go to historic distribution. This must give me what was distributed for what, for which song. Benyim Gaga, okay? There's Benyim Gaga. Okay, work number, this, and the amount that was distributed, it is 292. Let's go to the details. This was for the 4th of July 2013. I received revenue 292. Okay. Year of production. Look at the year of production. 0010101. Which years was that? I wasn't even born. I wasn't. This is the year of production of Benyim Gaga. There you are. I'm not talking nonsense. Benyim Gaga with the work number. 4th of July 2013. 2.92. The year of production. Look at the share. The share is 3.60. 3.60%. Where on earth Bengen Gaga can be 3 point? How many people must be sharing this for me to get 3.60%? Okay. Okay. So you tell me all that nonsense was told by, and then this Benyim Gaga, same spelling. Begim Gaga. It's not Begim Gaga 2020, Begim Gaga what. It is Begim Gaga. And look how much have I been earning? Okay, 292. Oh, 2 rand 92, not 290. 2 rand 92, 1 rand 94, 1 rand 8 cent, 1 rand 8 cent, 10 rand 84. Okay, 4 rand. The reason why I'm getting this, you saw the percentage that is allocated to that, right? So, but because when I say this is heist, it is heist. I've shown you, guys, you've seen better. I'm going to close this session by saying, hide no truth to the masses, tell no lies, and claim no easy successes. So SAMRO pay back the money. SAMRO must pay back the 48 million that they took to Dubai, and they must tell us what happened if they took 48 million and they say let bygones be bygones. They're not going to investigate, they're going to claim that money back. Then they must tell us what happened to the risk cover of that money, because you can't just invest money without the risk cover. As we speak, I know for a fact that when it comes to the what do they call it, the annuity fund, the pension fund or the retirement fund is covered. It has a risk cover for it. Should anything happen to the money, that money is covered. Please, they must tell us what happened to the risk cover of that 48 million that went to Dubai. And they must tell us how are they going to pay back the over 20 million they spent wastefully on POSA that was never registered as a collecting society. And they must tell us what happened to the case that they had against the board, the former board, to reclaim the monies that they enriched themselves with. They must tell us what happened to Sipho Dlamini's case, who was claimed or who was said to have been the one who took money single-handedly took the money to Dubai when they were lying. We have pictures of them sitting in the boardroom of SAMRO with the guys from Dubai that they claimed they did not know. Hide no truth to the masses, tell no lies, and claim no easy victories. Amaketang, amaketang. I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed evening. Peaceful sleep. If you are going to go to sleep very early, have that long peaceful sleep and get ready to go to work tomorrow. Those who are working from home, may you be blessed, may you be guided and be given strength, because it looks like the 4th industrial revolution is here, maybe even the 5th industrial revolution is just here. People are being replaced by technology. I'm sure you are quite aware of what is happening. We are in the art sector, unfortunately, no robots can replace us. No one can dance Pansula. There's no robot that can dance Pansula like me. There's no robot that can do Sweetie Lavo like me. So, unfortunately, yet we are still locked in our homes, but we are irreplaceable. So, the time shall come when we will be sitting on the other side of the fence, and you guys who have been shining stars because you have jobs that are paying monthly, you might be sitting on the other fence and experiencing what we are experiencing currently. I haven't seen anyone who says that they have received the relief fund. We are waiting patiently or impatiently. But may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit rest and abide with you. Those who do not believe in God, may I say, nibe sharpke, nibe moja, zu 7 months pelele, as Zola would say. Bye bye.